Hello everyone, good evening once again. It is I, Digi Driver, back with another Flight Simulator X Steam Edition stream for your Tuesday, February 12th, 2019. Hopefully you guys are having a good night. I unfortunately had quite a bit of difficulty getting my Twitch set up to stream. For some reason, my authentication did not let me log in. Now, I'm not talking about my password, but actually, it's recommended that you enable two-factor authentication on apps that you have in order to make it harder for anybody with bad intentions to, get into an account and make bad stuff happen. So, just having some difficulty with that, but we got that resolved. So, here we are. We are at Cincinnati Uni, I think Lunkin. It's Kilo Lima Uniform Kilo, just outside of we're just in the Metro Cincinnati area. We're in the vicinity of I think KCVG. I think that's Cincinnati International, but I'm not 100% sure. But no matter, the route is in the stream title, and we're going to be going to Altoona tonight. Altoona, Pennsylvania, from Cincinnati. So we're going to be using the ROCKT9 departure, and we're pretty much going to be going direct to KEWES after that for the ILS approach for runway 21. But let's go ahead and get started. Get inside and start making things happen. Alright, so in the cockpit, and you know the drill. I like flying this somewhat close to procedure, so we will start the battery up. I like to start battery 2, and the machines will come up.
Terrain, system test, OK. TOS, system test, OK.
Alright, oral warnings, and we're going to be doing the cockpit safety inspection as per usual. So, courtesy light. Courtesy light has been checked. Let's go ahead and flip it on just to see how it looks. There we go. And emergency door locking pin, I'm going to assume that's removed. Emergency door, I'm going to assume it's secured and locked. Water barrier is required. Documents, manuals, and charts checked on board. Last time I checked, my air-rack cycle was current with Navigraph, so we're going to say checked. Maintenance status checked. Emergency equipment checked. Oxygen bottle valve handle, we're going to say push to restore. Supply control knob should be PAX auto, and it is. Mask regulator, we're going to say checked 100%, and flip the gen and 1 and 2 switches to auto. GPU button we will turn on as I want ground power, and the bus tie knob is auto. So again, as per usual, we'll ignore the battery 1 and 2 switches having to be off, because otherwise we wouldn't have this checklist. Although one way I might use a paper checklist just to make the process go a lot faster. Circuit breakers we'll check. Circuit breakers look like they're all in. Confirming. And yeah, check twice. Okay, fuel pump 1 and 2 switches will set to auto. Transfer button for fuel is pushed out. ELT switch we will arm, and the pressure cutout is pushed out. Hydrogen pump knob will set to auto. Gust lock pin, I'll assume it's removed. Rudder gust lock, same, released. Windshield 1 and 2 switches we will leave off now. ADS AOA knob will set to auto. Engine 1 and 2 switches are most definitely off. Link step switch is off. Inspection light is off. Landing gear lever confirmed down. Pressurization mode switch we will set to both. Dump button, this guy, is pushed out. Air conditioning we will leave as required. Shut off 1 and 2 buttons are checked. Throttle switch is off. Start stop knobs are in the stop position. Flaps are at 0. Parking brake is set. And seats and belts good to me. There we go. Cockpit safety checklist complete. Alright, now just to get a little bit more comfort here, we will make sure battery 1 and 2 switches are on for the power up checklist. GPU is as required. CVDR will say checked. Electronics checklist checked. And the power up checklist is complete. So, take a break from that and we will get our flight plan set. Again, the flight plan is going to be from Cincinnati Muni Luncheon. And that will be Kilo, Lima, Uniform, Kilo. And we will go to what? Kilo, Alpha, Oscar, for Altoona. Okay, so the ROCKT9 departure has Waital, Ferrum, Civlo, ROCKT, Cadre, and AT as waypoints. So first waypoint is Waital or Waddle. That only crossed my mind just now. Waddle, Ferrum, and Civlo. And Civ. What else do we have? We have ROCKT, Cadre, and AT. ROCKT, Cadre, and AT. Okay, and after that, literally, it's just KEWES. Oh, never mind. Apparently, I did not punch it in correctly. Let me try it again. KEWES. Oh, apparently I did not look that up properly. Hang on just a moment, guys. Let me look that up on my Navigraph Charts desktop app. Apparently, I did not spell it out properly. So, are we? Altoona doesn't actually have any arrival, so... Oh, not KEWES, KEWER. K-E-W-E-R. That would explain why I couldn't find it. Oh, it was also in the paper. Okay. There we go. Okay, Northeast USA. And there we are. Yeah, KEWES is actually just above the airport, so you swing around and we'll be lined up with runway 21. Which reminds me, the ILS for runway 21 is 111.1, and the course heading is 206. So .1, and the course heading will be heading B 206. There we go. 206. The amount of work it takes to turn the course knob on this one makes me feel like it's a really heavy knob. Gives the plane character, I suppose. There we go, 111. And again, 206. That's what we had, right? Yes, 206. Seen 3 times now. This landing is going to be a little trickier than usual landings I do because we're going to be kind of landing either just past or into a mountain range. So I need to make sure that I get this right. Okay, but in the meantime, we have the ILSs set. I just have to switch the radius when I get close. And our flight plan is set as well. Now, if I know that I'm going to want to cruise at like flight level 250, then maybe I should make a point of setting my altitudes for VNAV. So 22 nautical miles. I think we're going to want to be at... Actually, is the altitude? Yes, let me see. Okay, let me go to my Flight Plan Go app on my phone and look up Kilo Lima Uniform Kilo. And we'll go to the procedures page and pick the ROCKT9 departure. ROCKT9. Yeah, now we're taking off runway 225. Yeah, I guess so. Alright, so. And, okay. I'm basically going to do an uncontrolled takeoff and just set myself up for flight level 2. Probably flight level 250, given the climb rate. I need to be at or above 8,000 by weight all. So we will set for 8,000 for weight all. And then Farum is another like 20 some odd nautical miles away. Let's make that 4,000. Civlo is like another 20 nautical miles away. So we'll make that flight level 200. Then ROCKT will be, actually hold on, not flight level 200. Flight level 210. I'm actually fixing my VNAV altitudes because I want to keep them consistent with an eastbound routing. Flying east on IFR, I want odd altitudes. An odd altitude for cruising speed. And then ROCKT, I'd say I'm okay with flight level 230. So, wow, that's going to be quite the distance. By then, we should have no problem being at flight level 250, I think. AT. Thing is, though, by that point, oh no, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to have like over 100, almost, yeah, pretty much over 100 nautical miles to get down to like 5,000, 4,000 feet. So I think we should be okay. Okay, and for viewer, let me check Altoona and check the ILS approach. 2-1 viewer, I want to be at, actually at KEWES, I want to be at 3,500 feet, so it's going to be very interesting. But like I said, we're going to have about 104 nautical miles to get down to altitude, and then that'll be that. It's actually the first time I'm doing a flight plan where I'm actually using the VNAV to help me out, because I typically either over or undercompensate for appropriate altitude drop when I get close to landing. So that's good. That's good. And literally direct from KEWES to the airport. So the flight plan is set. Let me go ahead. What's that? Oh, Mrs. Dizzy Driver says hello, guys. Hopefully you guys are having a good night. Those sounds you heard, the latches and the beeping, that is our indication that we're ready to take on passengers. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's go ahead and request boarding. I don't think the flight's going to be longer than maybe an hour, 10 minutes or so. So we're fully fueled, and I'll go ahead and get there we go. We'll get ExpressJet to help us out this time. Okay. A lot of white. It probably did snow over in Ohio recently, so that's fine. We're set over here, waiting to take our passengers. And the ground power unit's plugged in. There we go. Oh no, having some problems. I can't tell from what direction they're coming. While we're waiting, we'll go ahead and remove the statics. Checked and pre-flighted. Still can't see him. Oh, there we go. That's because the shuttle was coming right in. Well, apparently they want to drive in the snow. That's okay, I guess. And one for the books. Okay, so we're boarding our passengers now. And while we do that, let's go ahead and get our lights turned on. Okay, boarding's complete. Close luggage and close that door because it is cold outside. Alright, so we got our folks boarded. And that's how we'll be for the rest of the day. Okay, flight plan's in place. Let's get back to the checklist. So, before we start checklist, oxygen mask flow and microphone, we'll say that's checked. Signs outlet switch, we'll do belts on. Okay, external lights as required, we're already set. Fuel quantity and balance, we are checked. Oxygen pressure for dispatch, we have that set on auto, I believe, but let's double check that. Okay, now we are auto. There we go, so that's checked. And let's go ahead and hit the test panel up. Oh.
Fire. Fire.
Stall. Stall.
Okay, so let's check the flight controls. Full left, right, forward, full back, full left rudder, right rudder. Alright. That's good. Control surface check is complete. Test panel is checked. Thrust levers are in the idle detent. And the parking brake is still set. Doors are now closed. Confirmed. And check twice. Engine ignition switches we will set to the auto position. Okay, GPU is connected. And before we start, checklist is complete. Alright, now let's confirm where we want to be. We are here. That's runway 7, which means I want to take that to runway 25. Yeah. Let me actually fire up the weather and see what the actual weather indicates. Okay, and we will go KLUK-KAOO. Okay, I'm connecting FSXWX now, and I will actually base my departure and arrival off of the winds that it derives so that I don't get myself in trouble like I did last time. Okay, looking cloudy. So, weather is winds out of the north. Looking like wind's calm, actually. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that my real life METAR is basically unnecessary and that I can basically take off runway 7. I think runway 7 should give me enough rotation for takeoff as long as I don't mess around too much. Let me see. Literally, tail left, taxi down, and almost back taxi to the beginning of the run-up area, pull-up area, 7. So that should do. That should do fine. Okay. So let's go ahead and use battery power for a little bit and get our GPU disconnected. Right, so GPU is disconnected, but we'll save it for the after start step. I just disconnected the GPU so we can get taxied out. Alright, we are preparing for pushback and departure, and we're going to push back tail right. Start the engines as we push back.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Okay. More to come once we get up in the air on the way to Altoona. But today I
Locking gear.
was in PJs doing the work thing, and now I am simming for you guys. Hopefully you guys are having a great night and you had a good day. Hopefully it's not too cold where you are, but if it is, hopefully you have a nice warm drink to curl up with.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
Okay, parking brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright, so let's go ahead and get our engines started. First one we'll do is engine number 2. Engine number 2 is starting up. Okay, looks like engine number 2 spun up really well. And stabilized. Let's do engine number 1.
Set parking brakes.
And parking brake set. So, after start checklist, all they get is disconnected, confirmed, GPU is disconnected, and we push in the electric emergency button. Check our battery 1 and 2 voltage, looking greater than 23 volts. Can push that back out. External lights are set.
Unlocking gear.
And while we're waiting, I will also set my
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
center V1 and V2 speeds.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
And there we are. There's a hand signal. Thank you very much. Alright, and still set my V2 speed. Thank you guys. See you next time, God willing. Okay, set barometric minimums to 200 feet. And that's it. I have to do is start the clock once I get to the runway, but that should do it. Otherwise, external lights are set. AFCS will say checked. Altimeters, I will auto set them. They are 30.48. Transponder will leave, and takeoff speeds are set. Takeoff data, we have LFE. LFE is set. Flight controls have been checked, and trim will be set for 5. Trim is checked and set, and we will set flaps for takeoff. Flaps are set for takeoff. So, after start checklist is complete, and let's go ahead and taxi out to the runway. Okay, so set to go. Let's remove parking brake and get underway here. Okay, and taxi. We'll taxi Alpha to Charlie, and then back taxi on that runway to get set up for takeoff. Unorthodox for sure, but should be. But before we get on the runway for takeoff, let's go ahead and make sure our I's are dotted and T's crossed. Okay. Full seatbelt limitation on. Let's see if we're good for takeoff configuration.
No takeoff brake.
Okay, so we'll leave that alone.
Takeoff okay.
Alright, that's good. And it should be good for cast messages. See, that's checked. Signs outside checked. Passengers, please prepare for takeoff. And we'll set the lights as required. Gotta get that landing light on. There we go. Before takeoff checklist complete. Alright, so when we take off, we will climb to, I think, 3,000. And then this is for the departure from Cincinnati. ROCKT9 departure for the runway 25. Oh, actually, yeah, because we're doing because I'm doing 7 now instead of 25, I will climb to 2,500 feet, and then to get to 2,500 feet, I will activate the VNAV and have it take care of the rest of the ascent for me. So, a little bit of hand flying before we actually get up to altitude. That works for me. So, set here, undo the parking brakes, set everything for the climb. Can I set my yaw damper on? Okay, yaw damper is indeed on. Can I set my flight director? Flight director is on. There we go. So, ready to go. Stepping out onto the runway. And using FSX-WX for realistic weather generation, which means my frames are going to hurt, but that's okay. I've flown like this before. And again, back taxi to make the most of every inch of runway that we have. I could have taxied down Alpha to the back, but that's okay. I wanted to do it this way. Okay, here we go. Set, we're ready. Trim is set, flaps are set, takeoff speeds are set. It's going to be a really short rotation, and hopefully we get out of here in one piece. So I will hold the brakes down while we get our engines spooled up. First check balance. Okay, engines look stable. There we are. And build it for Toga. There we are. Toga. Airspeed's alive. And 80 knots. B1. Rotate. B2. And there we go. Positive rate. Gear up. Okay, thrust is set for the climb. And flaps are going up. Okay, so like I said, unlike usual flights, I am flying this by hand to 2,500 before I give it over. Okay, there we go. We are at 2,500. Go ahead and add some trim. And here we go. We'll set autopilot and VNAV. Okay, thrust is set for the climb. VNAV is taking care of GPS and climb rate form and auto assigning that. So I can focus on my checklist. So we'll confirm landing gear lever is up. Flaps are at 0. Thrust levers are set for the climb. Yep, confirmation with that. Altimeters are checked. Yard damper is on, and flight director is as required. Okay. We are on our way out of Cincinnati. Okay, so we are out of here. Yep, we have taken off. Yep, already on the way. That's better. There we go. Okay, doing a pretty good job of staying reasonably below max speed. Just gotta stay on top of it because it will get past 250 knots if I'm not careful. So just that gentle balance. The Embraer Phenom 100 features what are called FADEC engines. This does not have traditional auto throttle or speed control, but I think the speed hold can be set kind of like by I don't know if it's engine pitch or aircraft pitch. I forget. I think I'm probably gonna want to take a look at this because, hey, you know, if this is a dream flying goal, then I should learn a lot about this plane. As it is, we are on our way to 8,000 feet. On our way to Waddle. We are like 8 nautical miles away. Next waypoint past Waddle is Farum, and we're going to be flying up to 16,000. Not doing bad for takeoff. Now we have gone straight past 8,000. Did we already decide? Oh, no, we're going to 9,000. That's right. Let's have odd altitudes. Okay, so right around here we should be leveling off. Okay, now we're climbing. Okay, so now we're going direct to Farum, and that has a VNAV altitude of 16,000. So as soon as I cross 10,000, I will be able to take care of some business. Okay, so we're at 10,000. And that checklist once again. Alright, so signs out, let's switch. Go ahead and relax a little bit. External lights, we're going to go ahead and turn the externals on. Weather radar, if applicable, not worried about that. I think there's a way to actually turn weather radar on, but I'm not 100% sure what that should be. Airspeed checked, and windshield 1 and 2 switches. It's below 0. Let's go ahead and turn the windshield heating, and let's go ahead and turn on any ice as well. Okay, so windshield switches are as required, and after takeoff checklist is complete. So we can leave checklist alone for a little while until we get to send. That's not going to happen for a good 4 or 5 more waypoints anyway. We've got about 165 nautical miles before that becomes an issue. What I do want to watch out for is that my VNAV doesn't make me accelerate faster, or I'm sorry, climb higher than my engines can handle. I see myself bleeding off some airspeed here. I'm going to keep an eye on it. But at any rate, guys, I hope you have a good night. We are on our way to Altoona, Pennsylvania on FSX Steam Edition, flying the Coronado Phenom 100 by Embraer. Beautiful little plane, as you can tell. It's an interesting relationship of sorts because I like flying this plane a lot, but it does not like my computer that much. I am flying on a Surface Pro 3 tablet with a type cover for the keyboard, and it does what it needs to do. It gets things done. We're actually able to. I actually have been doing flights and flights on this thing for years at this point. And there's debate, there's discussion. You know, I've got hashtag Project SimRig, and those of you that have followed me in my discussion about this in other streams know that it's something that I'm interested in doing, and potentially a gateway to doing better flight simulation streams. I think either just before or just after that is when I'm going to start looking into things like overlays and doing maybe a better job of keeping track of people's conversations online or otherwise. But for now, I am enjoying just the simplicity of flying an airplane, and the Embraer Phantom 100 is honestly it's become one of my favorite business jets because it's so light, it's so small, and yet it's got a good chunk of range, and it can go to, I think, you know, I've flown it into international airports. I've flown this thing. I think I've flown this thing into John Wayne, into Lauderdale, into Newark. So I've flown it, you know, to quite a few sim destinations, and just continue to go from place to place. What's that? Guys, I'm going to go ahead and actually take a look at my stuff here. My airspeed is going to drop below 200 knots, and I don't like that. So I'm going to set my thrust back to takeoff and see if that helps me, especially as I go past flight level 200. Okay, I'm not going to go to max. I'm going to keep it at takeoff. I know it's hard to tell on this stream particularly, but right here, there is the little indicator that you might not see. And if you don't see my mouse cursor, it's on the second panel, on the right-hand panel, right where you see the %N1. In between those two top circles, there is something that says TO for takeoff, and it changes as you actually you know, move your throttle up and down. Okay, so I am noticing that I'm getting some airspeed back. That's a good thing. I like having airspeed. Unfortunately, I forgot to set my clock. Okay, so I might as well just set the clock now and see at maybe like 20. How many minutes have we been? It's now 49 minutes. I'm going to say we probably took off maybe about 20 minutes ago. So whatever we have on the clock when we land and when we taxi to the ramp, I'll add like 20 minutes to it. But at least now we have that timer set. Okay, so we are still climbing, slowly but surely, and still gaining speed. Or at least we were gaining speed just now. But we're nowhere near the 200 knots that I thought we were going to get to. So, give me just a moment, guys. This is just the climb out stretch, and I'm going to take care of some business. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, and we're back. Sorry for the feedback or like bump line noise, whatever you want to call it. Mrs. DigiDriver says hello as well. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the stream today. And never you mind any overspeed warnings you see. That's just, I don't exactly know what that is. If it's actually a kind of soft overspeed, or if it's just the fact that there's a kind of like introductory overspeed or some kind of academic measure, because the candy cane stripe doesn't come up until like I get to like maybe like 340 or 350 at altitude, but we should be okay. We have about 55 nautical miles before we get to Cadre, and then another 100 or so nautical miles before we get to AT, and then we actually have to start descending. So we're pretty good. So yeah, I don't know where you guys are. If you guys are on the East Coast, I know you got a lot of wintry weather, some snow, and then probably a good chunk of ice. And I got that too. And I'm still not sure if I'm going to be working from home tomorrow, or if it's just going to be a wait and see deal where you just, get up early enough to take care of your stuff and that's it. So that's okay. I took advantage of it. I had an older laptop that had an AMD processor and a Radeon graphics card integrated into the motherboard. I thought, is this going to be useful to mess around with Flight Sim in? And I think the very clear answer I got after a short period of time was no. It was not something I was going to be able to use for flight simulation, because the equivalent main processor inside of it was basically an i3, and the Surface Pro 3 that I have has an i7 processor. It's not quad core, it's only dual core, and that's probably because of the way that the board inside the Surface Pro 3 was designed. And believe me, in terms of processing, this thing is no slouch. It's basically processing up to 3.3 gigahertz with turbo mode. But I mean, I've experienced this with every single computer that I've had that's been relatively beefy, that wasn't a desktop. The last desktop that I used was something I used up until about 3 or 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, and I've been using portable devices basically exclusively ever since. The problem with the powerful laptops, or even laptops that have a discrete graphics card but that's integrated on board, like, what I mean discrete, I mean like you actually have something that's not an Intel graphics card built into it. I had a old HP computer with an NVIDIA chipset that was in it for graphics, which is actually kind of cool. But by the same token, I think it seemed to lend itself to issues that I had. So I'm not sure why that was something that occurred, but it did. And I think the problem is that you're in a situation like that where you have how can I put this? You have a lot of processing power in a tight space. You are going to run into problems. So don't mind me, guys. Pushing back down to the climb thrust rate. There we go. We're going to lose a bit of speed, but at the same time, I don't anticipate having too much trouble staying at altitude. If we do, we'll just feed the power back in. But yeah, like I was saying before, it's been my experience working with powerful portable computers. When you get them hot, you start hitting, throttling limits. So the problem is, you do that, that's not a good thing. Well, not a good thing in terms of longevity, but I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about having it all in terms of having a really powerful laptop versus having a desktop that you can actually, continue to do stuff to. I think that's the direction that I'm going to want to go in terms of being able to swap parts out and also be able to, continually stay in the game, or stay in the same playing field as everybody else. Because with a laptop, it's not impossible. It's not academically impossible to take stuff out and replace parts, but it's that much more difficult. Which reminds me, I have a item in my shopping cart that I might want to check up on. I don't know if you guys have done this in the past, but if you buy things online, it's possible that if you put something in your cart and leave it there, you might get a discount from. Oh, look at that! Yep, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I have this taken care of. I wanted to get I was thinking about getting a smartphone repair kit so that I could have the really funky screwdrivers available in case there was something that I needed to actually get. So I'm not going to wait. I'm actually going to, let's see, I'm going to actually finish the purchase in flight, no less. Yeah, I don't know if this is the case of every single online retailer, but I put an item in my cart and I literally walked away, and then I came back the next day and the price of the item in my cart went down. So there would basically be only one or two other things that I would try to do. I don't know about you guys, but I'm into retro gaming, and I have seen video game systems that basically were very, 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 very old, and I have contemplated getting my hands on some of them, but it's basically a bit of a slippery slope, because if you're not careful, what's going to happen is you're going to actually get your hands on a system, and you're actually going to either want to buy everything that exists for it, or what's worse, you're going to wind up getting a thing that breaks down, and then you have to wind up buying parts for it. Yeah, this flight I don't think is going to take very long at all. I think there's a possibility I might land before midnight. But other than that, nice little wrap up to the evening. hopefully a nice smooth landing into Altoona. And what else can I look for? Let's see. Don't mind me. Also, one other thing that I didn't actually realize was still going on, people apparently still make video games for systems. I was not aware of that at all. Yeah, man, is taking a look at stuff like Sega Master System, for example. But some of these sell for expensive, so I don't necessarily want to buy something like that. Yeah, I think what happened is people couldn't get rid of these very well before, and now people are maybe marking these up as a result of the recent desire to do stuff, to sell retro consoles. But I tell you what, before I forget or before I focus on anything else, I'm going to go ahead and actually get this thing completed. Okay, almost there. We got about 20 nautical miles before we actually have to begin our descent. Okay, I get it. Now I realize I've been trying to actually get this thing purchased for the past like 2 minutes or so, and I realized the reason why it's not moving is because I actually have to find something else on the site that I can actually purchase alongside it. I get it. I see. So, I am tempted. I have the possibility of buying a solid-state drive to replace the drive that's in my my current developer laptop, because that's what I did. I got an old laptop from a family member, and because of the fact that the processor wasn't that powerful, but it came with a really big hard drive, I decided to repurpose it as a development computer. So I've since swapped out the memory for Axi memory, and I have purchased a replacement battery and power adapter, which I'm going to use. I'm using the old one right now because it still works. And then the only other thing that I considered doing was actually buying a solid-state drive so that when I use the computer, it will run and boot faster and probably consume less battery power that way too. I'm on the fence about it. I would genuinely like to be in a better spot to do something with it. Not 100% sure, but I'd probably want to do something like that just to say that I could. So I think I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a hard drive. And I'm in no hurry to do it because I think I know what I'm going to do. Same thing as before. I'm going to wind up getting a hard drive and then kind of like leaving it in my cart and then seeing if the price comes down. Even if the other thing goes back up in price, it'll only go up in price by a few bucks. So here we are. VNav is telling me we have begun the descent already. And I have, I believe, put my airspeed down to cruise. We're descending what looks to be 1,500 feet per minute, and I'm slowly cutting throttle power. Okay, so we literally have less than 100 nautical miles to go, and we're going to land in Altoona, and that'll be it for tonight's stream. And since we are on the way down, what I'm going to do is I'll get my heading for now. Switch my nav radios. Okay, there we go. Make sure my VNav is on and active. And we are descending. So, let's go by the checklists. Make sure our descent checklist is current. Windshield 1 and 2 switches we have on. Pressurization cabin has been proactively pressurized. And landing speeds are going to be set. I believe I'm going to be landing around VREF, which is probably going to be around 120 or 125, maybe 130 knots. We will flip the seatbelt sign back up. And there we go. Descent checklist is complete. Okay. Once we get closer to KEWES, probably like inside of 30 nautical miles, I'll check the approach checklist to make sure that we're ready to go. I probably won't have to hit that before we get to 30. We are descending comfortably. Let's take a look outside again. You see something? Oh, I know why we're stuttering. In an attempt to keep my scenery loaded as much as possible, even with all these clouds, I have increased my fiber frame time fraction to basically go almost all the way up to max. Only problem is it really has a hard time with all the textures that I'm loading. The FSXWX add-on, it kind of works with the limitations that you have in place for cloud draw density, like you know, medium coverage, like high coverage, low coverage. Low coverage is what I have, so in between that and the multiple layers of clouds that it's drawing it, there's still some difficulty with text memory with my computer, which is why I fought it by getting the DX10 preview up and running and getting Steve's DX10 fixer for FSX, which has done done me a favor because it's allowed me to use more video memory and do more loading on my integrated Intel graphics card to help me avoid having out of memory errors. I mean, they happen, but I think they happen less than they used to happen. And the screens and the outputs that I have are a little bit crisper as well. Okay, so we're less than 74 nautical miles out from KEWES, and KEWES basically is the last waypoint that we have before the airport. And basically at that point, we're going to go ahead and head straight in, runway 21. The ILS will be set. ILS is already set right now anyway. And then we will be able to hopefully land and not have too much difficulty. Let me go ahead and check and read what Altoona actually has. Okay, so looks like the winds changed. Either that or I never actually took a look at what the winds were going to be for it. So winds are 140 at 10, which means I need to think about what approach I'm going to use to land there. If winds are 140 at 10, then is it going to make sense for me to land runway 21? Let me see. Kilo Alpha Oscar Oscar for Altoona, Brevard County. Okay. If winds are 140, then I could land runway 12, but honestly, I think I'm still gonna have to land runway 21 because it's a longer runway. There's more margin for error. I'd rather land with a crosswind and have one way to stop on than have to be very careful about approaching the runway the right way. And if you guys are watching live, appreciate your support and coming along for the stream. My name is DigiDriver, and you are watching my approach into Altoona, Blair County, Kilo Alpha Oscar Oscar. This is my my quick flight tonight on... Actually, I'm not on anything. I guess I forgot to log into FS Cloud. It's okay though. The occasional offline flight is not a bad thing. Although I do fly both on FS Cloud and on alternating occasions on VATSIM as well. I think business jet flights are going to become kind of like my calling card for streams. I like business jets. I think ever since I flew the Learjet in Flight Simulator 5. So we're less than 60 nautical miles from KEWES at this point, and we are descending at about 1,100 feet per minute. I don't have to check for approach anytime soon anyway. But... yeah, direct. And heading 206 is the course heading, so we will go 206 once we get down to KEWES. I almost wonder if it would make sense for me to go directly past KEWES and then make a sweeping left turn back down to final. Because if I make a right turn, then I'm gonna need to really, really drill down to the runway. Okay, looks like whether reloaded or tried to reload. And we're almost 50 nautical miles out from KEWES. While we're waiting, let me check systems. pretty good. Systems are good. Fuel is good. Ice protection is lit. And we are less than 50 nautical miles, and I can tell that there is definitely hilly or mountainous terrain ahead. Okay, and I've got my anti-ice protection already set, so I am kind of set for the descent. Looks like it's a bit bumpy outside too. I've never actually flown into Altoona in FSX. I once flew a kind of like commuter flight from a smaller airport just outside of Metro Pittsburgh to Wilkes-Barre. Okay, descending through the clouds. Still looking good. Still looking good. Graphics card's actually doing a pretty good job. Unfortunately, I tried doing a flight last night from Charlotte to Raleigh-Durham, and unfortunately, the two airports had so much stuff that everything else just got blurry. It even took me a while to load the assets for Latin VFR's Raleigh-Durham Airport before I landed, so it was tricky. I'm going to be at 3,500. Let me double check what the ILS shows for that runway, what the surrounding area looks like. Okay, so the elevation of the airport is roughly 1,500 feet, and that waypoint is at 3,500 feet. So it's going to be an interesting approach. I might actually do what I said I was going to do, and do a half bank procedure turn, so that I have plenty of room to slow down. Because I think the mountains are between me and the airport. Okay, now we are below 10,000 feet, so let's go ahead and turn lights on. There we go. Yep. Let's take a look out the window. They're definitely coming in. Okay, so I'm cutting power a lot to make sure that I get down to a respectable airspeed. I cannot land this plane going like 240 knots. That's just not conceivable. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, wow. We're not that far out at all. Matter of fact, let's go to that approach checklist now. Okay, external lights are set. Passengers, please prepare for landing. Fuel transfer button is... Yep, pushed out. Altimeters are set. And the windshield 1 and 2 switches are on. Although I think at this point I can turn the rest of the anti-ice stuff off, and our approach checklist is complete. Alright, so turn off ice protection and wing stab. And there we go. Less than 18 nautical miles to go, and the hills are really coming into view here, or rather the mountains. So I'm pretty sure I'm over the Alleghenies at this point. Okay, so the cabin pressure is a bit behind my drop, but that's okay. Coming back into civilization, it looks like it's going to take me a little while for the autogen to load back in. At least the textures do not look super blurry though, that's fine. How many more nautical miles do I have? I have 10. Can I see the airport yet? Can't exactly tell. Right, that's fine. I'm going to start slowing way up. Okay, and flaps 1. Alright, so we are about ready to begin lining up for final. We're landing checklist. Okay. Got damper checked. Gear down. Okay, gear down, 3 greens. Laps to 2. And airspeed will be VREF. Okay. And landing checklist complete. Got about 12 nautical miles to land. Okay, everybody, here we are. Which pretty much means that my landing will be off to left. Alright, I should be able to pick it up on visual now. Alright, where are we? Oh, there we are. I was looking too close. Right, that's it. Okay, just to confirm. That is the runway right there. Runway in sight. I'm actually under VREF, so I need to put some speed on. Alright, let's switch over. I'm going to switch over to manual control now.
Autopilot.
And switch over to
Glide slope.
VRR1.
Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope.
Okay, so I was significantly below glide slope. Now we should be better. Okay, winds are now 175 at 10. A little bit of back pressure for the landing. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're coming into Altoona, Pennsylvania. Kilo Alpha Oscar Oscar. And we are pretty much right on the beam with VREF speed. If I bleed off a little bit more speed, I should get right on the beam with glide slope and the localizer. Crabbing into the runway because the winds are blowing me off course. The clouds in my descent, I think, kept me from seeing detailed ground or autogen on the way down, but we've got autogen loaded in nicely. And it looks like I am just about on the beam, maybe a little bit off. On the ball. Where I was on the ball. But it keeps blowing me off course. Really crabbing into it to stay on. Come on.
$500.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I can slow down.
Glide slope.
Yeah, it looks like I can slow it a little bit more.
Glide slope.
Okay, here we are. Might be a little bit long, but this could be as good as it's gonna get. Here we are. And we're down. Alright, cleaning up. Laps up. We are on the ground. Welcome to Altoona, everybody. It would appear that the local weather is indeed snowy. Alright, so let's taxi off the active, stop for a moment and collect ourselves before we taxi to the ramp. Alright, pretty good. Alright, after landing checklist, laps to 0, lights as required. And transponders required. After landing checklist complete, let's go ahead and taxi to the ramp. interesting bit of trivia. The Coronado Phenom 100 was the actual first payware aircraft I think I ever bought in my flight simulator career. Nice. And I bought it for the explicit purpose of learning how to fly with waypoints and following procedures on the VATSIM network. Okay, so exactly where do I park up here? Probably wherever I want to, but I'll probably park closer to the FBO. Not bad, actually. Not bad at all. We took off about an hour and... Well, we started streaming about an hour and 41 minutes ago, and flight was probably a little bit under an hour and like 10 minutes or something like that. Okay, here we are. Over to what I believe is the main terminal building, or the main FBO office. Okay, how do we do? We're a little short. That's good. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn ground power on and get shut down. Okay, so thrust levers are idle. Parking brake is set. Windshield 1, 2 switches. We're going to go ahead and turn off. Don't need those anymore. ADS AOA knob we will leave auto. Engine 1 and 2 switches we will turn off. Okay, I already did that. Wing stab is off. Start stop knobs are in the stop position. And signs outlet switch, I believe I just turned. Yep, there we go. Is off. So, shutdown checklist is complete. Let's go ahead and call for our ground services. So we'll get deboarding started. And we will pick our good friends at American Airlines. So we're in. Yeah, seriously, welcome to Altoona. Not bad. Textures by, Rex Worldwide Airports HD. I can't complain. I like what I see. And I hear... somebody coming. I think they're coming from this direction. Maybe. So I'm assuming passengers have their coats on. we are. There's a shuttle. Okay. So, passengers are deboarding. Let's go ahead and get the rest of the lights turned off. Have a great day, everybody. And deboarding is complete. So we're here. We are definitely here. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Go ahead and do the shutdown checklist. We will pull the valve handle for oxygen to cut out. Eventually we'll turn the battery 1 and 2 switches off, gust lock pin install, rotor gust lock to lock, and all the lights to off. And that's it. Checklists are complete. And let's go ahead and clean up everything else. Let's go ahead and turn off the ELT, turn off the fuel pumps. And since I don't like being... Actually, let me just make sure that I do everything. Didn't have to mess with any of those switches. I will turn the hydrogen pump off, ADS AOA knob off. Didn't have to turn on the bottle for anything. Back to manual pressurization. Pressurization mode or selector is going to be off. And yeah, I think that wraps it up. There we go. Fully cold and dark, and we are parked. We're here at Altoona, and that is going to be it for tonight. And yeah, like I said before, I really like having the business jet angle on lock for the streams. I'm most likely going to continue flying business jets to regional airports or to mid-sizers or even places from Orbex if I get more scenery or if I go to specialty airports. But I flew into Altoona today, which means that I might do a flight next time from here to either Allentown, or I might actually hop from here to maybe ferry some folks or some pilots to Philadelphia, and then decide where I want to go from there. But in the meantime, guys, thanks very much for coming along this evening. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care. God bless you. Bye.